StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई affordable.
So, hello everyone, welcome to this session, and I have a very special guest with me, Dr. Mayur Hazarika, who has secured All India Rank 5 in this year's Civil Services examination. And I think he is the epitome of somebody who has, was working at the same time. He's a doctor at the same time, and then he was also pursuing his passion. And most importantly, a thing about Dr. Mayur is that he was also making, his YouTube videos, which have become a rage now, and काफी सारे लोग now बहुत closely follow कर रहे हैं. So Mayur, congratulations first of all, and thank you so much first of all for taking out time to speak to us. And I know it has been very hectic for you. So and you have been traveling extensively. But my first question to you is, how many of you people have reached out to you, sir, ये video log आप कैसे बनाते थे, and how did you get time? Because that is something which is out of the blue, man. I can't really imagine recording videos and studying. How did you do it?
Yeah, I've received so many queries about that. I think every other day I receive some question on my Telegram asking me how did I do that and how did I put up the setup and all. And I mostly did live streaming before, but there was nobody watching me then. It was just me watching myself. It was 0 viewers then. It took off only after the channel took off only after the results. And what I used to do was I used an application on my laptop called OBS Studios, and then I used to do live sessions through it.
Right.
I used that mostly for public accountability, because when I was a child, parents used to say, go study. And after I passed my graduation, there was nobody asking me to go and study. So I thought I'll just make my own personal accountability through YouTube.
That's good, actually. I mean that's, sometimes हम लोग जब प्रिपरेशन कर रहे होते हैं तो we really do not know how many productive hours we have put in. So at least through that you were able to manage and somehow कि कितने hours you are putting in. So interestingly, because you are a working professional and that too a doctor, so how did you manage your studies with your profession? I mean, that is something, because a lot of time these days people think of quitting their jobs and उसके बाद they think कि हम लोग prepare कर देते हैं full time, but and considering you being a doctor, which is very hectic, in such a profession also. So how come you manage your time with your profession and preparation?
Okay, I was working before the prelims.
Okay.
After the prelims, my contract was over, and so naturally I did not need to quit, but it naturally ended that job. And the job was actually mostly OPD hours,
Right.
so it was over by around 2 or 3 p.m. So I used to study mostly in the evening or in the night.
Okay.
And sometimes the study sessions went on late till 2:30, 3 in the morning. I used to wake up and directly go to job again.
Right, because I saw one of your videos where you're actually driving to the work, and I was like, I have been following your videos, of course. I mean, I was like, before the interview, let me at least go into the background, let me do my background check and everything. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty interesting, because at least you have motivated a new generation of aspirants who are preparing, and as you might have come across also, not everybody has the same strategy, right? So हर किसी की अलग strategy है. If some of people who there are a lot of people who do this kind of study कि वो लोग video बनाते हैं for their own accountability, and I think you are an inspiration for them as well. So Mayur, just give us a brief idea, like आप Assam से हैं, I think most of your schooling you have done from Tezpur, and I think your medical was from Guwahati. So how come civil services? Because I know a lot of people in Assam, and I have a lot of students in Assam, though they prepare for the state services there. But UPSC के लिए इतना craze नहीं है वहाँ पे. So how come UPSC for you?
Okay, so yes, it is true that mostly the people over here, they prefer going to state PCS rather than UPSC, because it seems more like a distant dream, almost, because there is a lack of guidance there in this region, and also there is lack of popularity about it.
Right.
So for me, I think the journey started around 10 years ago, around 2013. So there was this felicitation program that I had attended in 2013. And in that year, those candidates from Assam who were successful with the exam, they were being felicitated. And just then I was in class 10th, and I actually had developed a sort of curiosity with this service. And then eventually going into it, first to class 12, I again had an inclination, but did not get the necessary guidance at that level. So went into medical, and by the time like third year or fourth year of medical science, with all the online resources and guidance available, I decided that okay, so now this is where I should probably go. This is my calling.
Right. But then were there any because I saw that post what you're talking about, because I saw your Insta, so I did stalk you on Instagram.
Yeah.
So your post, because 10 years you had posted about 2013 to 2023. I think that's the same incident
Yes.
you're talking about. Yeah. So I mean, but were there any officers you saw on field या कोई ऐसा कोई रहा हो जिनसे you took guidance or took any inspiration? मतलब ऐसा कुछ था?
Nah, nobody in like person. Just more like a distant.
More like a distance, not in person. So like abhi is bar the kind of prelims ka paper you might have seen. Okay, so
Yes.
like a very honest answer. Do you think it was doable? I mean, because I want to keep it very candid. Like let it be.
Yes, yes. I have seen the GS paper mostly. She said I have not dared to.
I've not even dared to see the paper, just after seeing the reviews. Yeah.
With the GS, I think yes, it was kind of doable. Maybe not this year. If I had appeared for this year, maybe I would not have. It would not have been that easy, but with the level of preparation last year, with which I went into prelims, maybe it was doable. She said, "So I don't even."
So considering a Dr. Mayur, so are you good in maths? Like just a personal question.
I was not bad in maths. I was good at it. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So I mean, I mean, at least you're honest and candid about it. कि भाई मतलब paper इतना difficult. I did not even dare to see the CSAT paper. So I mean, because coming to the question on preparation, because generally when we say कि UPSC is a 1.5 year game, because एक साल तो syllabus समझने में लग जाता है. When did you actually started preparing for like a very serious वाला preparation?
Okay, एकदम serious. I think it was towards probably the internship period.
Okay.
So it took me around proper preparation, maybe 1.5 year or 2 years.
1.5 and 2 years.
For me.
Yeah. So I mean, and basic resources. So I'll not go into the book list because you have already shared it on your YouTube channel. So I'll not go into there because everybody can subscribe to Dr. Mayur Hazarika there on the YouTube channel. All his detail and trust me, hats off to you because you're still taking out time apart from a hectic schedule to make videos. And guiding aspirants.
There have been so many requests on my Telegram channel that please give me some resources, tell us your strategy, and also whenever I get some time, I write a script and I try to put some videos.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, so you took around 1.5 years, 2 years मान लेते हैं preparation के लिए. Basic books तो सबने cover करी थी. So you used online lectures, guidance, कैसे prepare किया, offline coaching, online coaching, like because ये बहुत बड़ा एक सवाल होता है सब किसी का कि and mostly because during the period of COVID, and you are a medical professional yourself, you might have seen it, how things, bad things were. So how useful were online resources, and is there a need for an offline guidance or something? Like, what's your take on it?
I think my whole preparation was online, except after the mains for the interview phase. Because it became very evident to me that I would probably not be able to go to Delhi because I had to go for this rural service. And so during the internship period when I started my preparation, I started my own self-study mode and covered up the basic resources, means static resources. Can't even say, I said somewhere that Lakshmikant is a basic resource, and someone said that NCERT is a basic resource. Lakshmikant kab se basic hona start ho gaya, so can't even say those are basic now. But whatever static resources I had fixed, I went with those initially, self-study. But with some subjects like current and dynamic subjects, I had some difficulty, mostly around economy, science and tech, international relation, and all those. So with all those subjects, I relied on online. I joined an online foundation batch, and I used that online coaching for those subjects. Yeah,
and interestingly, because you have mentioned about GS3, but your marks have been pretty good. I saw your marks. I mean, I think you are one of those few toppers who got 400 above in GS this year. Otherwise, it has been a bloodbath in GS3.
Yes.
So what was special about you in GS3? What do you think like really worked for you in GS3?
What really worked, I think it was mostly a lot of statistical data. I had
Data.
by hearted a lot of data from economic survey
Yeah.
and reports and all. So I quoted data in almost every point that I was making. Even if I was making a simple point, I used to substantiate it with some sort of data, especially for economy part. For internal security, I don't know, that has kind of been my strong point. I knew all along my preparation that this is a subject of my own interest.
Yeah.
I was interested. So lots of government schemes quoted. And for example, this maritime security question came this time. So I think I gave around 7, 8 points. That means specific points, not just generic points. And also mentioned some technologies that India has imported or acquired from other countries for the maritime security, and also significant value addition. I knew that my GS3 was good. It went well. After coming from exam, I told my friends, only 3 papers can save me. It's essay, GS3, and ethics. So these are the 3 papers that will save me.
And interestingly, from coming from GS3, this time ethics was also pretty bad. For a lot of people, it was very lengthy. A lot of people, could not afford to finish the paper. How did you manage ethics? Like if you can guide us, like what are the basic books that you referred for ethics, and how did you practice your case studies? And most importantly, how did you manage time in exam for ethics?
Yes. Okay, so time management, coming from medical background, I have been used to writing things in a very short period of time. Time management was in GS4, yes, it was definitely an issue. For example, in most of the other papers, GS, I actually got an idea or hinted that I'll be probably finishing this paper in around 10 minutes before the end of the exam. But in ethics, it was only like 2 or 3 minutes before the end that I realized that, okay, this paper I'll be able to cover up. So how I did was, I mostly for the theoretical part, I was using this coaching booklet, Next IS booklet. And then for case studies, I had done some model answers. I had seen some model answers, and I had by hearted lots of ethical dilemmas and all.
Did you ever refer lexicon?
No, I read it, but since I was under such a time constraint, I realized that I would not be able to finish that book.
So just the coaching material and a lot of case study practice.
Case studies, yes. It for me, ethics was almost on like autopilot mode. Like case studies, immediately I knew that these are the 3 or 4 options available. So had those pros and cons tables ready for each and every point, just going in them autopilot. But even then, it took a lot of time. Yes.
So for your mantra for ethics would be, because I think now going forward, how UPSC is designing the paper, I think essay paper, ethics paper, and I think either of GS2 or 3 will be your deciding factor if you want to get good rank, or probably even in the list, let alone leave the rank. But I think ethics has become very, very crucial these days. So I think hats off to you for your great marks in ethics. I think the mantra there is a lot of case study practice.
Yes. And mostly autopilot mode. That is the word that I have been saying to the people, that you won't be giving, the aspirants will be getting so much time to think about that. Okay, if I will be thinking about how to write this case study, it should be almost like autopilot. You see it and then you immediately start.
Yeah. Coming to GS2, GS2 is mostly polity, IR. So, like, how did you prepare these subjects and governance, especially because most of the time what we think is Lakshmikant pad liya, polity ho gaya. But then that's not the case with mains, So what are your resources for polity, IR, and in GS2?
Okay, so for polity, so yes, I used Lakshmikant, but above that, I did a lot of value addition and lots of sticking papers and sticky notes and all. For governance, I was using value-added material from a coaching. For social justice, and similarly value-added material from a coaching. For IR, this subject being of particular interest to me, I studied a lot by myself. Lots of reports and case studies, and besides this, I was using a book by you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being kind. I hope the book was really useful, and I have my personal interest in that because it's glad to see somebody getting a top rank and choosing foreign service. That's really close to my heart. And congratulations, for you. I think once you posted that you are you have opted for foreign service, I think the whole fraternity of foreign service felt really happy. I could see on Twitter a lot of senior officers reaching out to you and being very happy about the fact that somebody from top rank finally has chosen foreign service, right? So how was that? How was that feeling?
It was goosebumps. The moment I saw sir quoting me in a tweet.
Yeah, Dr.
Samir
Sumit
sir.
Seth. I think Dr. Sumit Seth was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sumit Seth sir was there. Yes, I had actually studied his forensic book in medical period as well. And that's why I mentioned already learned a lot during medical and still lots more to learn during this.
But he's a very supportive person. I keep meeting him sometimes, and in fact today only he just got posted as an ambassador to Panama.
Wow, that's such a great news.
In fact, I'll reach out to him and I'll tell him that I just had a conversation with Dr. Mayur. So next time, probably if you're at Delhi, maybe before he's leaving, so we'll catch up with him. So yeah, so I mean, IR specifically because I think what the idea is, IR in generally is that people think that only 2-3 questions will come, but they might be a deciding factor in the mains, and especially in prelims nowadays. If you see how much important organizations have become, so I think that is where and this is prelims also. There were a lot of questions on conflicts. So if you're not well aware about these places, mapping, all of these things, and especially your newspaper, so I think thoda wahan pe problem ho jati hai. Now coming to the worst part, I will not say worst part, but the most difficult part is the history part. GS1 geography history. So what's your take on history preparation? Because GS1 you scored again very good marks.
I don't know. I actually like reading history and geography. Those are kind of like my not exactly the favorite because interested
something different from the usual. हाँ मतलब कि चलो अच्छा break मिल रहा है, यही medical, यही IR, यही current affairs, चलो history पढ़ लेते हैं थोड़ा.
हाँ, वैसा था. And also the books that I was following, they were very comprehensive. So one-stop solution एक ही बार में सब हो गया. So it was good for me, worked out well.
So what were the books like, if you can mention? Like, acha, you had mention about one of the books from TMH. I think that was one book that you had referred for modern. Any NCERTs did you refer for ancient medieval?
I actually tried NCERTs, but eventually I went into the book written by Poonam Dalal Dahiya ma'am.
That is also a good book. Yeah. You get everything at one place. Yeah, don't have to look everywhere. No?
Yes.
Too many pages, and then NCERT साथ प्रॉब्लम ये है कि वो ऐसे पेजेस ऐसे अजीब से हो गए हैं कि you don't even feel like reading nowadays. No, it's just so boring. Niras. History has become niras.
Exactly. My issue with the books regarding history is that they need to be kind of
colorful,
engaging.
Colorful pictures होने चाहिए थोड़े बहुत. Because as a doctor, you are used to so many diagrams and pictures, anatomy. You're like,
maybe I had not thought about it this way, but once you pointed it out, then I realized that maybe that was the factor that since all my books were so pictures.
No, that's good because at least you don't follow the herd mentality, right? कि अच्छा सब NCERT पढ़ रहे हैं तो मैं वही पढ़ूंगा, even though there might be better resources available, and so I think that's a good strategy to follow. So coming to prelims part, Mayur, because now it has become one of the most unpredictable portions, and this was your first attempt. And so what kind of message or you would say strategy would you give to people who prepare kar rahe hain, considering so you have to think now कि अब थोड़ा paper ऐसा ही आने वाला है, let's imagine थोड़ा tough ही आने वाला है. So what would what would be your message to people and aspirants कि भाई कैसे prepare करना है? There are 2-3 things in it. So एक तो ये है कि भाई either you give a lot of tests once you finish your basic, and how do you balance your revision and test? So वो चीज along will come to optional.
Okay, so for me, it was revision much greater than giving tests. Yeah, so I relied on revising the material over and over so many times because I was more of a prospective learner than a retrospective learner. Yet I gave a few tests. I think I gave around like full length. I gave 2 or 3.
Okay.
Means all subjects make.
All subjects, like a full length mock test.
Yeah, and otherwise subject wise, sectional wise, I gave around 10 or 15 of those.
Okay.
It gave me an idea of how to eliminate a few options here and there. Although I think that elimination no longer
has been eliminated.
Yeah.
But I guess it started with your prelims only, right? So only pair 1 and only pair 2.
Yeah.
So
that was the starting point of this whole thing now.
Yeah.
That is why I think candidates should focus on prospective learning, because nowadays this elimination and all, it no longer works. Like I used my resources were very comprehensive and very loaded. So I would say go for limited resources, but the resources should be very good. And then go for multiple rounds of revision. And after that, giving a few tests definitely helps in building that confidence going into the exam that I've seen this type of questions, and so I'll be able. Not necessarily that even a single question will be coming from those tests nowadays, but it helps in building that sort of mentality that no issues, and also one should go with an open mind to the exam because UPSC being UPSC, like one cannot expect that it will be following the same pattern every year.
Yeah. So anthropology was your optional. I think it comes very naturally with people being from medical science background. But just an interesting part. A lot of people also take medical science, and there have been like some toppers also, in good ranks from medical science. So why not medical science and why anthropology?
Okay, so I started. When I first started exploring the optionals available, I started with medical. But then immediately I realized that the syllabus is very vast as compared to other optionals. And also medical science, it did not give me any significant value addition to GS papers. So I thought that this is also an opportunity to explore a new subject, also knowing a lot of things that will be available or that will be coming very naturally in other GS subjects. For example, this time there was a question on GS1 on tribal differences and similarities. So a lot of value addition in that answer came from anthropology, which I think that I probably would not have been able to make if I had taken medical science. Not saying that medical science is not a good optional, but for me, it was kind of anthropology was kind of at the sweet spot, like having the background knowledge, especially on physical. The entire column, I think I could have skipped. Because genetics and also it was all done in medical science. And at the same time, paper 2 gave me a lot of insights into other GS papers.
So, like, how did you prepare? Did you take a coaching for it, or did you prepare it on your own through internet resources?
It was self-prepared, totally. And anthropology, I prepared on my own. Started with the well-known books like P. Nath's book and Amber and Amber. Although Amber and Amber, I did read very cursory level, not going into much depth. Then social anthropology, Muniratnam sir's notes. And for others, Nadima Sensor's book for anthropological theory, Kaya Pandey sir's book.
I mean, a lot of topics like in anthro and the books you're mentioning have a lot of overlapping with sociology also. So I think that is also one of the major reasons. I think probably in other parallel world, if you would not have opted anthro, I think sociology would have been another choice. Maybe because
sociology. I did try sociology. However, I did a great mistake or blunder, I would say. I started with Emil Durkheim and it was good. Then I went into Talcott Parsons and everything went
there because that was like a very extreme transition from one thinker who is like, so pretty easy to understand, Emil Durkheim. But then Talcott Parson is altogether a different guy. So I think that is where probably you thought, oh, sociology to nahi karenge ab hum. Let's move to anthro. But yeah, I think probably if you would have gone from Weber, Durkheim and Marx, I think you would have been a sociology topic.
I didn't even try any other topics. I directly went into thinkers. And then second one, I went into Talcott Parsons and everything.
क्या बोल रहा है कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा मेरे को क्या
I tried so hard to understand, but it seems so abstract to me, so I was like, no.
In the hindsight, it was a good decision only. So as long as you are in the top rank and getting very good score in anthropology again, so that's brilliant. So Mayur, like a little bit of questions on answer writing, because I think it's very rare to find a topper, especially in the top 10 ranks, जिसने ना optional खुद prepare किया. So I think उसमें सबसे बड़ा challenge in mains is answer writing. So let's say if I'm writing an answer, you wrote an answer, how did you evaluate that whether it is matching the standard of UPSC or not? How did you do it?
I think it's almost same for me. The basics were the same as GS and optional. The first thing is that the demand of the question should be addressed at any cost, and the demands can be fulfilled only when candidate has the knowledge with that. For example, there was this time a question on question like it was on coolarding, and it was being and it was asked like what are the anthropological perspectives or schools of thoughts describing the coolarding. So the guy who was sitting in front of me, he had written everything about coolarding, but he didn't address the demand of the question. That it was asking actually the schools of thoughts perspective, anthropological, with respect to coolarding, like evolutionist, structuralist, what they thought. So I think first and foremost, that thing is required for anthropology, addressing the demand of the question. Secondly, besides the basic points that one is making, some sort of value addition is definitely required. That might be coming from some recent findings, or because a lot of recent things come up. I was actually following for physical anthropology. I was following the website of most probably Australian Museum or something of human evolution. So anything new paper that came up related to human evolution, and also I added those to those value additions. Anthropology also has a lot of scope in the form of value addition, like diagrams and all. So it helps. So I think the basics remain the same, just as GS. Just writing basic things, at the same time doing significant value additions to make the answers stand out as compared to others.
No, but did you get it evaluated by someone, like, or is it like self-evaluation?
Self-evaluation.
Self-evaluation.
Yeah,
I want to understand, like, I want to get into your mind, like, how do you decide कि यार ये सही लग रहा है आंसर, मेरे को मतलब फील आ रही है कि वाइब आ रही है मेरे को, ये आंसर सही है, मतलब एक कुछ तो होता होगा, मतलब कुछ तो कहीं पे कंपेयर किया होगा.
For intro, no, not a single one. Because there have been questions. Somebody was asking in my Telegram channel, can you please show me an answer, intro answer script, like model answer script.
Like the cooking shoot guys have. So you thought that they thought that you might also have this answer thing.
Yeah. So I said, bhai, I didn't even write a single answer. How can I show you an entire answer script? so yeah, I think in subjective answers, I have been kind of thankful to God, kind of natural with subjective exams throughout my academic life. And also a lot of those subjective answer writing was done during my medical syllabus.
I think it comes naturally with a lot of doctors, because they have to read and write so much. I think it comes
we are used to writing so much of things, and also not only mentioning, that means the basic points of answer writing which people come to know about while during UPSC preparation, like multidimensionality and giving a point to substantiate whatever you were saying. So that was very obvious or like natural during the whole 4 or 5 years of answer writing that I had done during my medical science period. So this answer writing thing, I think, came kind of naturally. I was also good in answer writing even during class 10s and all. So I got state positions and all with all those answer writing.
I think you're gifted that way, no? Answer writing, you're gifted. So.
I would like to think so. Maybe.
No, but I think full credit to your hard work. But then I think not everybody have that the kind of ability to test your own answer, because I think the biggest challenge in this exam is not about knowing and writing thing. I think the first thing that you said is demand of the question to pata hona chahiye. Saath how do you compress that much of information? Na 150 words, 250 words. I think wo bhi and at least you practiced and you knew a little bit ki kaise karna hai, and you had a little bit of background also, so you had it. But then for somebody, I think jo itna well versed nahi hai, I think say, what do you suggest? I mean, they should practice and get it evaluated, right?
Definitely. I have been saying this ki whenever somebody asks me what has been my strategy with answer writing, the first sentence I say is, my strategy is not recommended to anybody. Like I would
not honest, to be very honest,
Yes, like what I did, it was cutting around the edges because I was working. I had to compensate so much of things during the prelims and mains period because I was working before the prelims. And I have been saying this, God has been kind to me, and like maybe he thought कि okay चलो इसको थोड़ा सा.
Then God really helps those who are working hard. So full credit to you. So Mayur, coming to your interview, how was your UPSC interview? Because आपका the first time था, and first time getting to the hallowed walls, and then you go to that chamber and वो बत्ती जलती है, and then वो गमले वमले लगे हुए हैं उधर. So how was the pre-interview and then post-interview experience with the board?
Okay, so my interview this year was in the third phase. It was not it was very unconventional this year that they gave in parts and phases. So it was in third phase. I got a lot of time to prepare for interview, and I gave lots of mock interviews. I mean, I eventually developed this FOMO of not giving mock interview. Like, if I didn't give any mock for 4 or 5 days, I started having FOMO that I'm losing my fluency and my skills. So I gave so many mocks, and giving that many mock actually helped me. I was actually very calm on the interview day. Because in some mocks, I did get some heartbeat raised sometimes. In the main interview, I was absolutely calm. Not even a single heartbeat went like.
Which board was it in your interview?
I had Honorable Smita Nagaraj Men's board.
Smita ma'am. And you got very brilliant marks considering, Smita ma'am's board.
Yeah, it almost became like before the results were announced, everyone was saying that this is probably the toughest board to get any marks with men's board. But my almost entire interview, around 60 or 70%, revolved around international relation and foreign diplomacy. All those 10 minutes with ma'am, full 100% on international relation.
And I think that is an area of your interest. I think she might have been also impressed by the fact that you are, I think, opting for IFS rather than IAS, generally, which is unconventional. So I think that really worked for you. So can you tell us any specific question that you thought, ये मैंने बहुत सही बोला, मतलब board तो impressed है पूरा, मतलब any particular question or incident?
I think there were multiple questions where I thought that I had actually, where I thought that I had done well. Like immediately coming out of the interview hall, I actually recorded the entire interview just to keep it for eternity whenever I wanted. And I think with ma'am, one question was, it was probably a social issue, but she gave it an international angle, not saying the question verbatim, but as far as I can recall, she said that there's this protest going on by female wrestlers and against this thing. So what is the message that is going to the international platform through this protest? And there are some people saying that it damages the image of India. This type of protest. So what is your take on that? So this is kind of like the first question that she asked. I started off saying ma'am, it actually, the message that is being sent through this protest is that despite 75 years of independence, if the allegations are true, if and only if the allegations are true, despite 75 years of our independence, probably our sports federations have not been able to provide the safe space to women athletes. And then I did the second part of the question that contrary to those claims that it actually affects the image of India, I believe that rule of law should be followed and an impartial investigation needs to be carried out to find the truth of these allegations. And I think that doing that would in fact bolster our image. Contrary to that, at the international level, that we are actively taking steps to provide that safe space to our women and to the women athletes of India. So I think that is what I said. He kind of nodded.
So otherwise, the board was very cordial. I mean, considering how your experience, because you're sharing it yourself. So yeah, great. I mean, really good. I mean, and the way you are mentioning that, how you answered it, I think that really impressed the board, and the marks itself really वो चीज बताता है. So Mayur, like finally when the results came, so coming to the results, I mean, how was the feeling? यार मतलब मैं पूछूंगा, I can't really.
मतलब I was preparing for the next pre. It was 5 days.
What were you doing? Like you were in back home when the results came?
Yes, I was back home.
And who was the first person who told the result to you?
About that. So I was studying on my laptop and suddenly a message dropped and saying that the server the UPSC server has stopped working. So I immediately checked and then I saw that the server is busy, please try again later. So immediately just as I saw this, like I became एकदम cold. एकदम full. So उसके बाद I listened to Hanuman Chalisa 1 or 2 times and then by the time PDF came, I saw the PDF. I typed in my roll number and then what happened was actually could not process it at all. Because
पहले ही आ गया, शुरू में ही आ गया.
Second page में ही आ गया. I was never prepared for that. So एकदम कुछ भी ना खुशी ना शौक ना कुछ भी, क्योंकि प्रोसेस ही नहीं हो पा रहा था. तो मम्मी को बुलाया and I told her कि AR 5 आया है. And then she kind of got emotional. I told her okay अभी मत करो और थोड़ा confirmation आ लेने दो. So then I got this first call from one of my childhood elder brother, I would say. He was a neighbor and he was kind of very close friend. And he's an Indian engineering service. And he called me and said कि you got all India rank 5 and just that moment that I realized कि okay मतलब
सही है ये मतलब सर्वर में गड़बड़ी है कुछ ऊपर नीचे
कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. And immediately so many calls started coming from media and all. So then
but it's a big thing, I mean, it's a big thing, especially for a place like Assam. Like, I understand कि वहाँ पे resources नहीं है, and a lot of potential is there, and you have become a big role model for them. So again, many congratulations Mayur for that, because and most importantly कि आपने ये किया है the unconventional way, अपने वीडियो बनाया accountability रखने के लिए. Again, बहुत सारे लोग बोलेंगे अरे ऐसे कोई एग्जाम क्लियर नहीं करता, and that's the general mindset, right? If you are into YouTube or let's say vlogging, not exactly vlogging, but then people might have said
but I maintained anonymity throughout.
Yeah.
My channel name was not Dr. Mayur Hazarika then. It was Mughal Studies. I also in those videos I only showed my hand and I did not show my face. I was like, nahi, abhi nahi. Like once it is done, only after that I'll show my face and tell my name. But till then, the name on my channel was not there, and there was hardly any subscribers. There were like 200 subscribers there.
But 200 is not bad also. People are
those
like 200 people are interested in seeing how
those are my friends.
They are friends, okay. Yeah, but then now your channel is touchwood growing leaps and bounds after the results. Everybody is like, because I saw that you're from Assam, so how can you not like football? so yes, I think there was a video on I think Messi's goal. I think somebody's goal is there. Yeah.
No, that's Sunil Chhetti's goal.
Sunil goal. Yeah. Somebody's goal.
I watched that match.
Yeah. So pretty amazing, man. Yeah. So like what plans now? Look, so abhi is baar to FC is starting pretty early. So what plans?
Yes. So I don't know. This whole month of June is all packed with so many programs. Lots of meetings here and there. Felicitation.
Yeah.
Let's see. Probably will join some music classes or something. I don't know.
So you're fond of music?
No, but I had that interest of learning guitar. But अभी तक कभी मौका ही नहीं मिला है.
Abhi will get a lot of mauka. So yeah, I think that is something that it's nice. You can build some hobby. It's very nice to know young energetic people following the unconventional way, clearing the exam, and most importantly getting to foreign service. So that's important. I think you are a valuable asset to the country in the way. How diplomacy, and I think Dr. Jaishankar has been an epitome of also that. So a lot of people follow him. And many congratulations again, Mayur, for taking our time. And last message to people who are watching you preparing for this year's examination, who could not qualify this year's exam, because you might have come across a lot of people complaining, UPSC, what they are doing is unfair. And what's your take? Like, what's your message to them? Kya kare, kya na kare?
I think at a deeper level, the whole life is unfair. Nobody said that life is going to be fair.
Yeah.
So I think mental resilience is required, and also it's important to develop the optimism that this is just an exam and this is not the end of the world. Just along with it, develop the mental resilience that this is going to demand probably the most that a person can give both physically and mentally in this whole exam. So besides this, also that self-confidence is required, that if someone they have seen can do it, then probably they can do it too. It's not like humanly impossible. Everybody can do it. And at the same time, my one word advice would be lots of revision, because that is what I did. Yeah,
revision into cube multiple times, power to the power sometimes. So
yeah, I was telling one of my friends that day that before the mains exam, I reached kind of that state that if somebody woke me up at like 2 a.m. in the morning and he asked me a question of modern Indian history, I'd be able to answer that. Ask me a question from polity, then I'd be able to answer that. Ask me a question from IR, I'll be able to answer that. So that means of those what I have prepared, not saying everything, but like of those things that I have prepared, if somebody asks, because I had revised it so many times, so things started coming very naturally.
You have a number of count revision 20, 30, 40 times in particular
maybe Lakshmikant 30 plus.
30 plus, okay. So I can get an idea. So if Lakshmikant is 30, so on an average, everything must be around 15, 20 though. I mean.
Definitely.
Great, yeah, great. So thank you so much, Mayur, and would love to host you in Delhi whenever you are next time in Delhi, and welcome to Indian Foreign Service.
Thank you, sir.
Look forward to interacting with you again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।